I've got. I'm just going to write them down for later.
Yeah, perfectly fine. Okay, so welcome to blog writing, a GrowSkills webinar. So what we're going to go over today is, why do you need to blog? What's the purpose of it? Who are you trying to please? And we're going to look at how do you choose what you're going to write about, and then how do you structure a blog for SEO. So this is a truncated version of our Better Blogging course, which is a full 2-hour course. And this is going to give you a little bit of an overview of why we blog and why you should do it and how it can help your website. So the first question we're going to ask, what do search engines want from you? So we've got to take a step back really and have a think first of all about what is a search engine. So a search engine is the world's biggest filing cabinet, essentially. So it's where we store every single page, website, image, social media post, everything that is uploaded to the internet every second of every day is indexed by a search engine. So they crawl that page at the point of uploading, put it in a place that they think is logical, along with all the other things that are about that subject. And then when somebody, the seeker, comes along to the search engine and asks the question, the search engine index goes, I know where the answer to that is, straight to it and finds it. So when we talk about, you know, how to use a search engine, what a search engine wants from you, it's really just about being able to provide those answers that the seeker is asking at the point that they're going to their search engine. Google does not have the answers to any questions. It's just an index. It's just a repository of information. So it is relying on us as content creators, as website owners, to give it those answers so that it can provide a good experience to the person who's coming along and asking a question. So when we are thinking about what does a search engine want from you, really what it wants from you is it wants you to answer the questions that everybody is asking every second of every day into their search engine. Now, the other thing we've got to think about with search engines is that now people are using voice search. So once upon a time, we were typing our queries into our browsers, and now we are asking, we're shouting them at our Alexas or screaming them into Siri or whatever. You know, what's the weather going to be like tomorrow? How do I make a Victoria sponge cake? Where can I buy balloons for a children's birthday party? So we're asking it a lot, you know, hundreds of questions a day in some cases, random questions, completely unrelated questions. And the other thing we have to bear in mind with voice search is that sometimes we're not even using the words that we want the search to relate to. So, for example, if you'd wanted to know the weather in Rossendale 5 years ago, you might have gone to your browser and typed in, what will the weather be like in Rossendale tomorrow? We've given it the location, Rossendale, we've given it the search query, weather, and we've given it the date, time, tomorrow. Now, if we're shouting into our Alexa devices, we might not shout, what's the weather going to be like? We might say, am I going to need a brolly tomorrow? Or am I going to need a coat if I go out tomorrow? We're expecting it to know where we are. We haven't told it. We're expecting it to know what time frame it is, because we've said tomorrow, not a date. And we're expecting it to understand what a brolly or a raincoat corresponds to. And 9 times out of 10, it will. So search engines are phenomenally complex, and they've got a lot better, a lot more sophisticated in the way that they understand how we speak. What that means for us as content creators is that we've got to create content that doesn't just talk about that direct thing. When we're writing content, whether that's a blog post or a social media post or a web page, whatever it is we're creating, we've got to think about how might somebody ask for this? What words are they going to use? And they might be completely different words to what you think they're going to use. There might be a huge variety and a lot of different ways that somebody might ask for something. And we've got to think about all of those and ensure if we're creating a blog post about a certain thing, we're including all of those different words that someone might use. Another example of that is that we at Grow Traffic, we do SEO copywriting. That's what we call it. When we're writing a blog, we call it SEO copywriting. Most people don't call it that. Most people will call it blog writing or blogging. So if we were writing a blog about how to write a blog, very meta, we would talk about SEO copywriting, but we would also talk about copywriting, blog writing, article writing, all of the different ways. So sometimes you've got to think outside the box, but essentially start with what are all the questions that somebody might ask to get to this piece of content, and make sure you're asking and answering them throughout your blog post. The other thing that websites want us to do is provide a good experience for the seeker. You know, Google is essentially the gateway to the internet. So if somebody goes to Google or Bing, you know, I use Google as shorthand, but I mean all search engines. But if somebody goes to a search engine and they put a search query in, if they're then served a really rubbish website and it loads really slowly and it's really outdated and the design is horrendous and the copy's all really poorly spelled and all the rest of it, they're going to think Google has served them that website. And so they're going to go, that's rubbish. I'm going to go to Bing next time and try what they've got. There is a company that has just launched a new search engine, and they're an SEO company. And I was trying out some of their searches the other day, and all of the websites it was giving me were really old, really poorly related to the search term. Essentially, that search engine didn't do what I needed it to do. It wasn't giving me the right answers or a good experience. So I will not go back and use that search engine again. Google has maintained its dominance over the market because it serves people the right websites, the right answer, a good experience. But again, Google doesn't create those websites. Google relies on us as content creators to create them. So it wants us to create a website that looks sleek, that's got a really nice design, that's got some interesting information on it. Maybe it's got a bit of a video and some nice images on it. It loads quickly. It's not spammy. There aren't loads of pop-up boxes coming in, and music doesn't start playing that you can't turn off and all the rest of it. So it wants a clean, a smooth, a sleek website that loads fast and gives people the right answers. And if you can create a website like that, it will put you further up the search engine results pages. It also wants you to keep the internet fresh and up to date. Again, you know, if you are the seeker and you go to Google and you say, I've got a question, and you ask your question and it serves you an article from 10 years ago, that's not necessarily the correct information anymore. So that might be out of date, and you might be getting duff information. So you might go, all right, I'll go and try Bing. So again, you know, search engines want you to give people the latest articles, the latest information. And a blog is one of the best ways of doing this, because you are regularly updating the content on your website. You're providing the latest answers. Even if you've got a blog from 10 years ago, you can update it a little bit and republish it and keep it up to date really easily, really quickly. And it helps you, again, help Google do its job of providing the most up-to-date information. A lot of companies will come and they will say, well, you know, I built my website 10 years ago and my business hasn't changed, so I don't need to change my website. But how does Google know that you didn't go out of business 9 years ago if you've not updated your website for 10 years? How does Google know that that information that's 10 years old isn't now completely wrong and completely out of date and the industry's moved on? So just simply in terms of, you know, signaling that you are still in business, that you still know what you're talking about, that this is the stuff you are doing day in, day out in your business, you know, updating your website via a blog, really quick, really easy. It just sends all those signals that you're still in business and you still know what you're talking about. And the other thing, finally, is keep people online for longer. Google, Bing, Yahoo, DuckDuckGo, they only make money off you if you are on the internet. So if you're, a lot of businesses will say, well, I just want a 1 or a 2 page website. I want it really simply, strip it out, take out all the extraneous information, just make it really simple. But what you've got there is you're not allowing somebody to browse. You're not encouraging them to stay on the internet for any longer. You know, you're not giving them something meaty to consume. They've got your basic information and they've gone. Again, that's not helping Google get paid or helping Bing get paid. Same works for social media. They want you. They only make money off you if you are there. So if you help these platforms keep people on them for longer, they will reward you. And again, a blog, really easy way of doing this. You're creating more information, about 1,000 words a blog. Somebody's going to take a good kind of 5, even 10 minutes to sit down and read that. You are helping Google keep people online for longer, and they will reward you. So just by uploading a blog on a weekly, fortnightly, even monthly basis, you are helping give Google exactly what it wants, give Bing exactly what it wants, and it will reward you by returning you in the search results and making sure you appear more than your competitors do. So really, really simple. So why does blogging help please the search engines? I've just told you this, but it asks and answers the seeker's questions. Every single blog post will or should have at least kind of 5 to 10 different ways that you have asked and answered a question. So you're going to ask the same question in multiple ways, as we said before. You're going to follow through a series of questions. Google knows, thanks to big data, when you go as the seeker to a search engine, you ask a question, it knows what the next 5 questions are likely to be that you are going to ask. And so if it can return a website that is going to answer all of those questions in one, again, it's all about that better experience. So for example, Google might say, well, if I go and I ask for a Victoria sponge cake recipe, Google will say, well, we know that what she's next going to ask is, can I make this gluten-free? How do I make buttercream icing? Where can I buy birthday candles? And where can I buy balloons for a child's birthday party? And so if I've got a website, if it's going to return me a website that's going to ask and answer all of those questions in one go, I, as the seeker, don't have to start a new search every time I've got my next question. I've got my website, it's giving me all the information. I don't need to keep looking and keep searching. Therefore, Google has given me the best, quickest, easiest experience. So again, the more questions and answers you can put onto your website, the better you are going to be doing Google's job, the more it will reward you. And again, a blog is a really, really easy way of doing this. Again, refreshes your website regularly. Already said that. Really, really basic. You know, Google wants to say that websites have been updated, and the way that, you know, the environmental impact is going now of search engines, that they have a phenomenal environmental impact, and they are therefore trying to reduce the size. The internet's just got bigger and bigger and bigger over the last 30 years. And at some point they're having to say, you know, we've got to draw a line somewhere. So if you've got a website that hasn't been updated for 5 years, they are just going to take you out of the equation. You're not offering anything, you're not bringing any value, you're not offering anything new to the table. So they will just say, look, we've got websites here that are being updated on a weekly basis. So, you know, we don't need yours, thank you, off you trot. So if you don't keep your website up to date, chances are nobody's going to find it. Again, allows visitors to spend more time browsing web pages. If you ever look at your Google Analytics, one of the top metrics it gives you when you go into your analytics platform is how many people are on your website, how long do they stay for, how many pages do they browse through, and how often do they come back time and again. So again, if you've got a 2-page website, not a lot of content, you've not updated it for a long time, you're not giving anyone a reason to come back. You're not giving anybody a reason to browse. They can't browse. You've only got 2 pages. They've spent 30 seconds on it and they've seen everything. Whereas if you are adding blog posts and web pages and resources and articles and downloadable guides, you are encouraging people to stay on your website longer, to browse through it, to come back time and again, because you're giving something fresh every single week. Those are what we call the ranking signals. And the more you do that, again, the more you will be rewarded with rankings and then with traffic. And I've said again, encourages visitors to return. So why does blogging help your business specifically? So as well as all of those ranking things that we've just talked about, all the SEO stuff, you know, blogging has a massive impact on your business because it creates a conversation with your customers and with your potential customers. It's one of the best ways that you can keep people engaged, just on a sort of human, on a marketing funnel level, besides a kind of SEO analytical level. So first of all, it positions you as an authority. It shows people that you know your stuff. You know, it allows you to demonstrate knowledge on your industry. It allows you to tell people that you're still learning. You know, every time you go on a course, you get a new qualification, you go to an expo, some new regulation comes out, you introduce a new product or service. All of these things should be being blogged about. And that then gives you content to share across your social media, put it on your LinkedIn page, put it on your Facebook page. Again, it just shows that you know your stuff. You are the expert. You are the go-to person in your industry if somebody has a problem, particularly if you're in a sector where somebody isn't going to need you every day. You know, you're not selling baked beans. People don't need it on a daily basis. You know, somebody might only need you once or twice in their lifetime. But if you're blogging regularly and you're appearing in their news feeds and you're giving them information and you're helping them and you're being useful to them, you will be front of mind as soon as they do need it. They'll go, oh, right, now we need SEO. Who does it? Grow Traffic does it. Because they're always talking about it. So it makes you that go-to person. allows you to maximize your keywords. So you can only optimize one page on your website for one keyword per blog, per page, whatever it is you're putting up, you can only have one. So the more pages you've got, the more blogs you're putting up, the more keywords you can have. It's as simple as that. And the other thing is, if you say, I want to go for this keyword, I want to rank for the keyword SEO, and I've got a page on my website, it's the best page on my website about SEO, it's the best page on the internet about SEO, it's absolutely brilliant. And Google goes, well, all right, it might be good, but actually your competitors here, they've got 15 pages about all of the different types of SEO, and they've got 50 blog posts that go back over the last 10 years about SEO, and they've got case studies about clients that they've helped with SEO, and they've got testimonials and referrals, and they're proving that they're doing their qualifications and all the rest of it. Obviously, it's going to go with that website. It offers a better experience. It proves it more. So in just pure numbers terms, you need to prove, if you want to rank for a keyword, you've got to prove that you deserve to rank it. And that means adding more content, more pages about it. And again, blogs are the best way of doing that. Supports the other pages on your website. That's what I've just said. And build a relationship with your audience. The way we engage with businesses has fundamentally changed over the last kind of 10, 15 years. And since COVID, that has accelerated even more. So once upon a time, if you wanted to find a business, you might go to the yellow pages, yeah, but you would know that they would be local businesses. They would still have a presence. Or you would go down your high street and you'd see the firm that's been there for the last 50 years, or you'd ask your family who they used, or the person you sat next to at work, and you would get a personal recommendation. People don't shop in that way anymore. People will go, 97% of people will go to the internet first to find a business. So they are landing on your business without knowing anything about you. They've not had a personal recommendation. They've not seen you. You might not even be in the local area. So how do they know that you are any good? They need to build up an element of trust. And the way that you do that is by proving that you know what you're talking about, proving that you know your stuff, creating a blog post, posting on social media. You would also use things like testimonials, client reviews, have a really good About Us page on your website. The About Us page is the second most visited page on every single website I audit. People will land on your website, doesn't matter what page, they will then go to your About Us page to say, who are these guys? What do they look like? Do they look like they're trustworthy? Do they look like they're going to steal my money? Or can I pick up the phone and have a conversation? A blog post builds that relationship with an audience and helps you pull them through that marketing funnel. So somebody might read your blog post or follow you on social or whatever for 2, 3, 4 years before they reach that point that they are ready to engage with you or they need your services. So it keeps that relationship going. It builds up trust. It allows you to show people that you know what you're talking about. And also, it basically, at a really basic level, you want somebody on your website finding out the answers to questions rather than being on somebody else's website finding out the answers to questions. Because when they're on your website, you can have that conversation with them. Why might not blogging hurt your business? So I've already touched on this really. A couple of main reasons as to why. We've already said, Google is, and Bing as well, all of the search engines, they are reducing the size of the index. It's just not sustainable to keep every web page ever created in the index at all times. The size of the digital universe is phenomenal, and the cost of keeping all of those servers going, building warehouses, we're cutting down swathes of the Amazon to build giant warehouses to house acres of computer servers, which all have to be kept at a certain temperature. So we're using reams of electricity. I mean, Bitcoin alone last year used more electricity in 1 year than the country of Argentina. And that's just Bitcoin. So the amount of energy being consumed by the internet is phenomenal. And essentially, we've got to do something about it. And so what the big search engines, Google and Bing, are doing about it is they're saying, if you do not prove to us that you deserve to be in the index, we will take you out of it. And by prove to be in it, they mean that you're doing all of those things that we've said. You're updating your website, you're giving people a good experience, you're answering the questions, you're proving your worth, basically. So if you don't blog or don't update your website regularly, you're going to get taken away. And the other thing is that blogging it should be the spine of all your other marketing activities. So the stuff that you post on your social media should be led by your blogging content strategy. Your PPC, if you're doing PPC, that needs to be bolstered by blog articles on your website. And I think we've got a session coming up on PPC, so I'll go into that more then. Also things like your email newsletters, blogs should be featured on there. Again, lead people back to your website at all times with it. And you know, if you're doing offline collateral, you know, that all of that content that you create in your blog can be used multiple times. It should all be being repurposed. You can create infographics, you can create little quote graphics, you can create videos out of it, so much stuff. But your blogging and your content calendar should be the spine of that everything else feeds out from. So what is a good blog? Now, lots of people get confused about what a blog is and what a blog isn't. And the definitions are subtle, I'll be honest. There are lots of different ways of updating your website. You can have web pages, you can have articles, you can have knowledge bank, you can have a PR, a kind of news release section. And a blog is kind of subtly different from all of those things. So essentially it's informal. It should always be upbeat, engaging, really interesting. It should be chatty. Again, a blog is about building a relationship with your customers. It's not a technical data sheet. It's not a press release. It's not a downloadable PDF that somebody's going to get accompanied with a product. You know, it's a blog. It's an opinion piece. It's where you flex your muscles, show off a little bit, show people that you know what you're talking about, you know, express an opinion. It's where you say, this is what I think about this situation because of my X years of experience. So it should be fun, but it should also be informative. So it needs to tell somebody something. People don't just read blogs for shits and giggles. People will read a blog because they are trying to do some research. They're trying to find an answer. So they want you to give them the answer. They want you to say, this is the answer to the question you've just asked. So it shouldn't just be fluffy. A blog is not a diary. It is a way of giving people information. So it should inform, but do it in a very, very light touch kind of way. It should be personal, and this is really important. The blog is your way of building that relationship. So it should reflect you as a company. If there's only one of you, write it from the point of view of your personal opinion. Use I. If you are a company, allow people who are blogging to blog in their own tone of voice, have their own style. You know, again, you can say we as in we are a company, but each person should be able to blog from their own perspective and give their own opinions on things. It's about creating that relationship, and you need to be authentic in that as well. You don't want somebody to be reading your blog for 3 years and then they meet you and you're nothing like that, and you've lost all of that trust that you've built up. So it should be authentic, but it should be personal. It should not be technical. Again, there are places for technical content on your website, but it's not in your blog. Somebody's going to be reading a blog because they want a quick bit of information, a quick answer to their question. They're at the start of their journey and they just want, you know, they've got 5-10 minutes, they've put the kids to bed, they're wasting time on their lunch break. They don't want it to be too heavy. So it shouldn't go into too much detail. Again, there's a place for that on your website. Have it in your technical data sheets, have it in your product specification pages, but it shouldn't really go on your blog. And the other thing is that your blog needs to be talking directly to your customers. Yes, it's for you to show off, but it's not there for you to just demonstrate that you know what you're talking about to other people in the sector. So we used to do this in Grow Traffic when we first started blogging. We would say that we needed to, you know, show off to everybody that we knew what SEO was and we knew about the latest algorithm updates. And so we were writing quite technical, quite boring blogs about algorithm updates. And the only people we were speaking to were other SEOers. Now, other SEOers are never going to be our customers because they know how to do SEO. So we really needed to talk to our customers in a non-technical way, in a way that said, we know what's going on and I'm going to explain it to you in plain English. And when we switched and started doing that, our blogs went up, our readership went up, our traffic went up, because we were talking to the people we needed to. So remember who your audience is. It's your customers. It should be about 1,000 words. There's no, there's no hard and fast rule on this, but about 800 to 1,000 words is a blog. Anything longer than that, you're in long form content. Anything shorter than that, and you're really just a news post. So about 800 to 1,000 words is the sweet spot. And they should be regular. And the reason for that is twofold. First of all, from a human point of view, if you do get a loyal readership for your blog, they will start to expect when blogs go up. So they'll probably have set an alarm on their phone, or they'll have subscribed to it. So when it goes up, they'll get a notification. And if you say we always put our blogs up on a Friday afternoon, they'll come to expect that. And then if sometimes it's on a Tuesday, and sometimes it's on a Thursday, and sometimes it's at midnight, they will see. People will see when the blogs go live because they get the notification at the time. So make sure you are regular. The other thing is search engine spiders will come and crawl your website when they predict that content will go up. So if they are used to your content going up on a Friday morning, they will come back every Friday to crawl your website because they expect it to be there. If it's sometimes not there, then eventually they'll stop coming back regularly and it starts to damage your website. So once you start with a scheduling routine, keep going at that pace and always put them up on the same day every single time. If it is the first time you are starting to blog and you're not sure, you're not in the rhythm of writing them, you're not that confident at uploading them, and it takes you ages to do a graphic and all the rest of it, then start with the lowest amount that you can do. So start and say, I'll do one a month. I know I can manage that. And then as you get quicker and you get into the habit of it, you can increase the regularity. But it's better to do that, start slow and increase, rather than say, I'm going to put up 3 a week, and you manage it for a week, and then it starts to decline and it drops off. And then you have 3 months without putting one up. And then you tell yourself off and go back to 3 a week. That's really poor practice. So don't overface yourself. Be realistic about what you can achieve and get into the habit of being regular. So how do you choose what you're going to blog about? And this really is the key to everything, because if you get your blog subjects wrong and you're writing content that nobody's interested in, nobody's going to come back and read it. If you are targeting it wrong, so you've picked the wrong keywords and you're not targeting quite the right audience, you might get lots of people coming to your website, but actually really your blog wasn't what they were looking for. It's not quite right. So then you'll get a lot of people leaving your website, and then that will damage you as well. So think carefully about the types of things that you want to write about. I'm going to go through some platforms now that will help you choose that. But think about where people are in the marketing funnel. Think about the questions your customers are asking you. And here it's fine to use, platforms online, but also just ask your customers. If you are constantly getting the same questions asked about your products or services, you need a blog about it on your website. So talk to your customers, listen out for those questions at all times, and think for yourself, what are people going to need as they move down this marketing funnel? What questions are they going to ask themselves? Think about what keywords you want to target. So what keywords are you targeting on your website? Again, you don't want to go too broad. You don't want to go too generic. You don't want to be up against massive competition. So businesses quite often are tempted to go for the big money keywords, so that 1 or 2 word keywords, but then actually you're often up against bigger companies competing for those, and often they've got a bigger digital marketing budget than you will have. So think very carefully about, do I want to go for those big shots that really I haven't got a lot of chance of getting, or would it be better if I went a little bit more specific, maybe added your geographical region in there, maybe added a specific demographic that you target, for young people, for people in their 20s, in Lancashire, whatever it might be. But go a bit more niche if necessary, because then the competition is lower for those keywords. And also think about what products or services do you need to sell? What are the ones that actually make you money? what are the ones that you actually need to push? Start with those. Start with the things that you need to focus on first. What you don't want to do is start a content calendar that's completely schizophrenic and you're trying to target 20 keywords all in one go. We always say have kind of 3 to 5 max keywords that you're targeting at any one time. Any more than that, it becomes unmanageable. So choose the 3 that are actually going to be beneficial and relevant to what you're trying to push at this period in time, and give yourself a 6-month period and say, okay, for the next 6 months, I'm just going to blog about these 3 things, and I'm going to get a really good foundation of content on my website about these 3 products or services. And then once you've done that, then you can start to expand out and you can start to talk about other things and go a bit more niche or go a bit more varied. But don't go at it like a bull in a gate and try and say, I'm going to go for 50 keywords in one go, because it just means you get nowhere. Okay, so let's have a quick look at the marketing funnel. So 3 stages: top of the funnel, middle of the funnel, and bottom of the funnel. We actually break these down into 4 stages, really. So within that top, middle, and bottom. Top of the funnel is the awareness. Middle of the funnel is the evaluation. And then the bottom of the funnel is the conversion, the loyalty phase. So top of the funnel, they know that they've got a problem, but they don't know that there is a solution. They don't know that your company provides that solution, and they don't know that your company is the best person to provide that solution. Most people who are coming to a search engine are at the top of the funnel. They're not aware of you or what you do or why you're any good. They just know that they have an issue that they want a solution to. So they're looking to buy a holiday, or they're looking to buy a pony or buy a wheelbarrow. They're not really even going to approach it from the point of view of, I want to buy a wheelbarrow. They're probably going and they're saying something like, what's the best wheelbarrow to buy for under 20 quid? Or is it better to get a plastic or a metal wheelbarrow? They're only coming at it from the point of view of they've got a problem and they're going to try and find the answer to that problem. Next one we go to is they've got a problem and they know there's a solution, but they still don't know that you provide that solution, and they still don't know that you're the best person to provide that solution. So they've gone to the Google with their query, what's the best wheelbarrow to buy? And they've now found out that there are metal and there are plastic wheelbarrows, and you can get them for about the same price. So they're starting to do some comparison stuff, and they're maybe looking at the wheelbarrows on your website, and maybe they're looking at wheelbarrows on a couple of competitor websites, and they're starting to compare the differences and prices and stuff. Then we go to, they know they've got a problem, they know there's a solution, and they know that you provide that solution. So again, now, they've done a little bit more research, they've narrowed it down, they've now got you and your competitor for the wheelbarrows. And now they're looking at, okay, what is your wheelbarrow made out of? Have you got any product reviews about it? Have you got any customer reviews? Have you got any information about the warranty or how long it lasts? Or do I need to replace the wheel every 5 years? Or are the handles going to fall off? So now they're into really quite specific product data. And then finally, they know they've got a problem. They know there's a solution, they know that you provide that solution, and they know that you are the best person to provide that solution. So they've eradicated all of your competitors, and they're just down to you. And now they are looking at, okay, well, why are they qualified to make wheelbarrows? How long do they last? What price are they? What if I pay? What payment protection have I got? How is it going to be delivered? What if I don't like it within a week of getting it? All of those questions. It doesn't matter what business you are in. People will start at the top of the funnel and they will move their way through. And generally speaking, as they come down a layer each time, there will be very, very similar questions that they're asking. And it generally goes along the lines of, is the product any good? How much does it cost and how long does it take to deliver? And then what happens if I'm not happy about it? What's the return policy? Is this company reputable? All the rest of it. So you need to make sure that through your blog content, you are addressing all stages of this funnel. Now, to begin with, a lot of your blogs are going to be aimed at the top of the funnel. They're going to be those really broad questions that people are asking. And then you want to pull people down through it using your blog content. So you want to make sure that you know, you on your website, you've got all of that product information, you've got price comparisons, you can even do your own comparisons between competitors, you've got information about delivery and warranties and the life cycle of the product and all the rest of it. And you will, from your blog, you will send people between all of these other pages. We're back to browsing, we're back to giving people things to look at, time to spend longer on the website. Keep them browsing, keep sending them to the next relevant place. And you can do that through your blogs themselves. So you can have a blog about, you know, when you know it's time to buy a new wheelbarrow. And you can also have a blog about why our wheelbarrows are better than everybody else's. But you want to bear in mind the proportions and how people are going to need them and at what time of the buyer journey, and make sure you're sending them to the relevant place as appropriate. So as I say, blogs can fit any one of these, but the further down the funnel you get, the more you want to bring in content from the rest of your website. So if we're thinking about the blogs are going to do the heavy lifting at the top of the funnel, getting people from Google onto your website. They need to be those really basic questions, and there is a platform that will help you do that, and I'll come on to it, but also Google and Bing will help you do this yourself. But what you will notice about the questions at the top of the funnel is that they are really, really basic. So you need to start a level up than even you think you do. And this is what business owners find difficult. If they are they are in the business and they say they are selling wheelbarrows, and that you will need a blog on your website that answers the question, what is a wheelbarrow? What can I do with a wheelbarrow? And you might think as a business owner, I do not need a blog on my website that answers the question, what is a wheelbarrow? If someone's on my website buying a wheelbarrow, they're going to know what a wheelbarrow is. But actually, we're addressing those people before they are on your website. So we need blogs that answer those questions that you think are completely obvious and pointless. We need them because, again, it's better to have people on your website finding out the answers than to have them on somebody else's website finding out the answers, because then they've got them in their funnel and they're never coming to you. So start obvious. Where do you find the obvious questions that people are asking? The first place to go is Google and Bing. And Google and Bing give you all of this information. So just put your keyword into the search engine and see what comes up. And if you have a look, if you look at the suggestions that come up in the top search bar, that tells you what people are typing in. And also, if you then scroll down to the bottom of the search engine results pages, that will show you alternatives that people are typing in and alternative words that they use in alternative questions that they're asking. You also have a section called People Also Ask. It's the drop-down boxes. There are about 8 to 10 of these now on every search results. Google particularly has increased the number of people also ask. If you can get your blog posts in there, that's the holy grail because you're offering the right answer. But basically, they will tell you what are the questions. If you put wheelbarrow in, it will say, these are the things that people are asking about wheelbarrows. Every single one of those that you see, you need a blog about it on your website. So that's your basic starting point. The next tool that you can use is called Answer the Public. Answer the Public is free, but you can only do 2 searches every 24 hours on the free version. But if you do your content calendar over time, that's plenty. But basically, if you go to Answer the Public, very similar to Google, you put your keyword in and it shows you, it's this graph here on the right, it shows you all the questions that people are asking regularly about that keyword. And it takes it from Bing and Google and Yahoo, aggregate sources. So it's reliable. It starts off, dark green is the most commonly asked question, and then it goes to light green, which is the least commonly asked. Again, every single one of those, you're going to need a blog about it. You can group them together. You don't have to write one blog for every one of those, but you can group the questions together and have one as your primary, your H1, and then have a couple as your H2s, scatter them throughout the text. But basically, you're asking and answering throughout the blog post as many questions as you can, as many different ways of asking and answering those questions. So both of those are free and are very, very good tools. The other two, as I say, it's your business and your customers, where to get the questions from. Talk to your customers on a regular basis. Do it on social media, through your email newsletter, when they're coming into the shop or the warehouse, or pick up the phone, it doesn't matter. But find out, what questions did you want to know before you bought this product or this service? What were the things that you needed answering? What points did you need filling in? And then you can make sure every single one of those is you've got a piece of content, so that as somebody moves along your buyer journey, from the point of view of interest to the point of view of being a loyal customer, you are asking and answering every question they would have. And again, they'll be basic. There'll be things like, you know, what's the warranty? How do I pay for it? What if I don't like it? What if it breaks after I've only had it for 5 minutes? Those are the practical questions people want. And again, as a business owner, that people are often reluctant to put that kind of information on their website. They say, well, I don't want to put the pricing on there, and I don't want to put our returns policy on there because it looks like we're accepting that there might be faults. It's not the case. People want that information. And if you don't provide it, again, even if they've gone through the first 3 stages of the buyer journey on your website, and then they've got a question about what happens if it breaks after 5 minutes, and you haven't got that answer there, they will go and they'll Google it and say, what if my wheelbarrow breaks after 5 minutes? And they'll get the answer off somebody else's website, and then they will finish their process on that other website. So you fill every bit of information in that you can to keep people there for as long as you can. And then the final thing, how do you find blog things to write about, blog titles? You go to your content calendar, and I'll come back to that. But also, I just want to say these are some other blog ideas here. I know it says blog ideas for June, but any month these will work in. So going back to the point of view that the blog is not just for SEO purposes. Obviously, that's the main pull of it. It needs to, you know, focus on those keywords and back up the rest of your content. But it isn't just for that. It's to build that relationship with your customers. It's to tell people more information about your business so that they understand who you are, so that they can trust you. Know, like, and trust. Most important thing in business. So again, use your blog for this kind of information. Talk to people about, why did you set the business up? What was your inspiration? What gets you out of bed in the morning? Again, you can do surveys with your suppliers. So send some email questions over to them and say, you know, answer these 5 questions. You can do top 10 tips. And it doesn't have to be just about your thing. It can be wider. So if you are selling wheelbarrows, I've got no idea why I've picked on wheelbarrows, but if you are selling wheelbarrows, you know, talk to people about gardening tips or equestrian tips, how to keep your yard clean, tips to clean out your ducks using your wheelbarrow, tips for transporting bricks in your wheelbarrows. You know, think about, how is somebody going to be using our product or our service? What are they going to be doing? And give them information about that. Again, you might think it's a bit superfluous, but you want somebody on your website finding out the answer rather than being on your competitors. So talk to them about everything. You will, obviously, this is a video recording, so you could see this, but if anyone wants the slides, if you email info@growtraffic.co.uk, and we'll send you these slides for free, so you can have this and write it down. And then final point, you use your content calendar. Again, content calendar, this is obviously 2 years old now, but GrowTraffic do this every single year. We fill it out for the full year, and you can have this template for free. You can go to the GrowTraffic website or the GrowSkills website and download it yourself. Or again, if you email info@growtraffic.co.uk, and we will send you the template for this. And it's brilliant because it has all of the calendar days in, what we call them in marketing, all of these days like World Radio Day, Valentine's Day, Rare Disease Day. These are what we call calendar days. So this content calendar will be used for your blogs, but also be used for your social media. So you can use this to guide what you're posting about on your website and on all platforms across the internet. Because the thing about these calendar days is people are already talking about them. They're already searching for them. So if you can get a post out, whether it be just on Facebook or LinkedIn or on your blog post, but get a post out about something. It gives people something else to talk about, a way of contributing to your business or to the conversation. And that's what the holy grail of content marketing is getting people to talk back to you. So give them a reason to be able to do that. And these days do that. I do the social media. I did the social media for the local business association. And on World UFO Day last year, I put a post up on Facebook about World UFO, just asking people if anybody in Bacup had seen a UFO, and it went berserk. Nothing to do with the business association, nothing to do with business, but everybody.
I love that. Sorry to interrupt. I fucking love that.
Everybody wanted to tell their stories of UFOs that they'd seen around Bacup. And the thing is, the algorithms have no idea that we're not talking about business. They just know, oh my God, everybody's talking about this today.
Let me know the next time you're doing it in Bacup. I'll be there.
Have you got a story? You've got a story?
I've got mad stories, mate. Mad.
All right, brilliant. That's your job next UFO Day.
Okay.
Well, there you go. That's the perfect example. And as well, if you've got like World Cancer Day, most people have a story about that. If that was, if the inspiration for starting your business was that your dad died of cancer and left you an inheritance and that inspired you to start your business, talk about it. Engage with people on a human level, and it gives you these calendar days give you those reasons to do that. So what you do is you take your content calendar template like this, you take all of that research that you've just done on keywords, all of those questions that you've got from Google and people also ask and answer the public, and you start to slot them into your content calendar, highlight the content days the calendar days that you want to talk about, put the questions in, and what you will find is you have very quickly got more than a year's worth of content. Even if you're doing one a year, very quickly you've got more than a year and you've filled it. So you can start to have a reserve list. And then as things change in your business, as something happens, if you have something to announce one week, you can just change your content calendar around. This should be a living, breathing document that's constantly evolving and constantly changing, but it just gives you that template. And what it means is you're not sitting down and staring at a blank Word document every time you need to write a blog. You know in advance what's coming up because you've scheduled it. You know what you're going to talk about. You can already be thinking about the things that you're going to include. You can have gone to answer the public and got 3 or 4 questions about that subject that you know you need to ask and answer within the blog post. So by the time you come to sit down, your blog post is pretty much written itself. And it means you've not got all of that stress of trying to think what to write. And also, you can then make sure your email newsletter and your social media, everything is tied up and neatly all pulling in the same direction. So use your content calendar. As I say, ask us and we'll happily send you a template for free. Final bit, we're on the home straight now. How do you structure a blog for SEO? And this is quite a specific way that we structure a blog for search engines. And the reason we do this is that, first of all, it's SEO best practice, but also it does make it easier for people to read it if you structure your blog in this way. And it also makes sure you are getting more questions and answers in there. It's all about questions and answers. And if you write it and plan your blog in this way, in this quite structured way, it pretty much writes itself. It makes the whole blogging process easier, which then becomes quicker, which then means you can write it, you can research, write, upload, optimize, and share a blog within the space of an hour and a half. So it doesn't need to be an arduous task every single week. I can write a blog for Grow Traffic in 20 minutes and a 1,000-word blog because it's my business and I know what I'm talking about and I know what questions I need to answer. So the more you do it, the quicker you will become. So first of all, the first thing you do, you have your H1. It's your heading number 1. That's it. It's just your biggest heading. That is your primary keyword. That's what you're going to optimize your blog post for that keyword. So have it as your main question, always a question, always ask it in the first person, rather than saying, how do you structure a blog or how should you structure a blog? It should be, how do I structure a blog? Remember, people are asking questions into their search engines through voice search. So they're not going to say, how do you structure a blog? They're going to say, how do I? So put your headings in the first person. Then in the first paragraph, you want to again ask and then answer the main question in the first paragraph. It just highlights, this is what I'm talking about. This is what this blog is about. No ambiguity, no arguments. Then you're going to have 2 or 3, maybe even 4 paragraphs after that. Each one is going to be another keyword. So it's going to be the same question asked in a different way, or variations on a theme. So you might start off at the top and sort of work your way down, or you might just ask the same question in multiple ways, depending what the information is that you've got from Answer the Public or wherever. But each of those subheadings should be another question. And then again, ask and answer it. So each of those is going to be, you've got about 100 words for your introduction. Then you've got 200-ish words for each one of those paragraphs. And then you want your final paragraph, your conclusion, your call to action. It's going to be something like get in touch or contact me if you want to know how to structure a blog post, whatever it is. But again, it's a direct call to action, 100 words, bish, bash, bosh, you've written 1,000 words, and it's not even tried hard. The other thing you want to do with your call to action is have a couple of different options for how people can contact you. Again, thinking about not everybody is going to follow the exact path. Not everybody, when they get to the end of a blog post, is going to be at the same point of the buyer journey. Some people will want more information. Some people will be ready to pick up the phone. Some people will still be thinking about it and they might want to sign up to your email newsletter. So always give people a couple of different options. Usually it's going to be, do you want to follow me on social media? Do you want to sign up to my email newsletter? Or do you want to go, pick up the phone? Are you ready to have a chat? So give people a variety, but never, ever finish a blog without a call to action. In fact, never finish anything without a call to action, whether that's a social media post, an email newsletter, a web page, a video, doesn't matter. Everything finishes with a call to action. So again, as I say, by the time you've done that, 100 words for your introduction, 100 words for your conclusion, 100 to 200 for your other 2 or 3 questions. You've written 1,000 words in no time, and it's easy, and you've not had to stress about it. It's kept you on point. It's got those questions and answers in there. So the final stage that you need to do once you've written your blog post, you've got all those lovely questions and answers in there, is just do a little bit of optimization at the point of uploading. Now, if you are uploading to WordPress or one of the main content management systems, you're probably going to have an SEO plugin in there. It's going to ask you these questions really obviously. You don't have to go looking for this information at all. But basically what you're going to do is copy your H1, your primary keyword, and paste it into your page title or your SEO title, whatever it calls it, your meta description and the page slug, so the / bit. And that just means there's no ambiguity there. You are saying to Google, look, this is the keyword. This is what it is. This is what this blog post is about. And I put it here, 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 and here. If you want, we do have an SEO crib sheet. In fact, we have 2. We have an infographic version and a Word version. They are downloadable from the GrowSkills website. But again, if you want them sending straight to you, if you just email info@growtraffic.co.uk and we can send those over, again, free of charge. And you can just have them sat next to you whilst you're uploading your blog post. Just tick off each one as you go. They're really simple to follow. If you can use an SEO plugin, again, they make your life easy. If you can't, you probably are going to have to do a little bit of coding, but it's doable. It's not that hard. But most content management systems will come with some form of SEO, either an SEO plugin in it, or you can add one on fairly easily. The best ones for WordPress are Yoast, Rank Math, or All-in-One SEO. Most of the other ones have them included. But use it. It asks you, 3 or 4 questions. Just put the information in there. Write a unique meta description as part of your SEO. So that's the bit of information. It does show on the front end. So if your blog is appearing in the search engine results pages, the SERPs, it's the bit that shows underneath the page title, usually in blue. So if you don't fill it in, it will take the first couple of sentences from your blog post, which often doesn't make sense. So just put a meta description in there. Your keywords should be included. And it usually says something along the lines of, Today we are asking, how do I optimize my blog post? Well, read on to find out. That's basically it. And then include some links. You need to link internally and you need to link externally. So internally means you're linking to another page on your website. You should always have at least one link because you're linking to your contact page. But if you can put a few more in as and when they make sense, do it. Again, preferably you want an external link. So you want to be linking out to somebody else's website. If you can't do it, you can't do it. Don't force it. Sometimes you're just writing a blog post about your business and there's no way of linking out to somebody else. But if you can, if you've mentioned a statistic or you've referenced somebody else's article or you're talking about COVID, COVID is a great one because you can link out to the NHS website or the government website. So if you can get an external backlink in there, brilliant. If you can't, don't force it. But just try and make sure. What you don't want is pages that just hang by themselves, because that looks a little bit like you're just uploading content for the sake of it. It's not really relevant to the rest of your website. Whereas if you link it, you're saying to Google, look, I'm putting up this blog post about this thing because it's what I do, and I'm proving it's what I do because I'm going to link to this other page and this other blog on my contact page. So it just makes it look a little bit more authentic. So final points, how do you succeed at blogging? Be consistent, and by consistent, you know, put your blog posts up regularly, pick a time and day that's convenient and stick to it. Pick a frequency that you can manage and stick to it. You can increase it if needs be, if you get quicker, but don't decrease it. So be consistent. People will expect it. And, you know, if you said to somebody or your audience, you say, I'm going to put a blog post up every week, and you manage it for 3 weeks and then you can't put any more up, you know, they're going to go, well, why should I trust them with my custom if they can't even manage their own blog post? So, you know, don't be over ambitious. Be realistic and then stick to it, and consistency is key. Be strategic about the titles you choose. A lot of people want to start writing a blog as a diary, and it's not that. You can have a diary on your website by all means, but a blog is not a diary. A blog is not a sales pitch. A blog is not a product catalog. It's a very specific thing. So make sure you are writing in a strategic way. You can have all of that other content on your website, as I've said, by all means, but it just probably doesn't belong on your blog. So think about the keywords, the products and services you need to talk about. How are you going to keep that conversation going with your customers, and keep your blog to that. Share your blog posts once they are published. So many people write them, and they write beautiful blog posts, and they optimize them and they upload them to their website, and then they don't do anything with them. They will help, you know, the search engines are crawling them, they'll help bring traffic, but just go that little extra bit. Share it across all of your social media platforms, share it on your email newsletter, and don't just share it the once when you've published it. Keep sharing them. Share it again a few days later at a different time of day. Share it a couple of weeks after that at another time of day, just in case you missed it. You know, put it out on a weekend instead. Try that. If something happens in the news and you think, oh God, I wrote a blog about that 3 months ago, pull it out of the archives, share it again. Offer you know, say, make a social media post that say, oh, they were talking about this new regulation in the news this morning. I actually wrote a blog post about this a few months ago. Here it is. So keep using that content. It's there to be useful. So don't forget about it. Learn and develop as you go. Use your analytics, use your Google Analytics, use your website CMS analytics, use your Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn insights all the time. Figure out what's working. Talk to your customers as well. That's, you know, again, people forget to do that. Have a conversation. Are you reading my blog? Do you like it? What's good about it? How can I make it better? You know, just keep learning and evolving. As I say, that content calendar should be a living, breathing document, open to change. So keep evolving and getting better at all times. And finally, don't give up. In most businesses, most sectors, it takes about 18 months to 2 years to build a loyal following for a blog post. And a lot of people give up at about month 13 or month 14, and you see it time and time again. And if they just kept going, you can see in the analytics that tipping point coming, and they've stopped just before because they're not looking at their analytics and they don't have faith in it and they're not talking to their customers. So don't give up. Once you start blogging, you will get readership straight away. You will get shares straight away. Of course you will. But you need to consistently go at it for that kind of 18-month to 2-year period before you really start reaping the rewards. So don't lose faith. Sit tight, keep the faith, and keep going with it. It has never not worked. In 12 years I've been doing SEO. It never doesn't work. So you've got to just keep at it and be consistent. So if you have got any questions off the back of this, please feel free to pop us an email, info@growtraffic.co.uk, or you can contact us by leaving us a message in Messenger, or just comment on this event or on this post, and we will get back to you. We answer every question that you ask. Have either of you two got any questions?
I'm happy. That was really helpful. Thanks, Rach.
That's all right. Marvellous. Right, well, in that case, I can't believe I've done that in an hour. This is normally a 2-hour. I know I've talked at 19 to the dozen, but I think we've done quite well then. Chaps, well done. As I say, this recording will now go on Facebook, and it will be sent out if you're on the mailing list. If you are watching this on Facebook, though, and you are not on the mailing list and you would like to be, please just let us know, info@growtraffic.co.uk. And if you would like the content calendar and the other resources and the slides sending out to you, again, info@growtraffic.co.uk, and we will happily send them. There we go. That's it, chaps. Excellent work. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'll see you soon.
Thanks, Tom. See you later.
Bye.